Hello, dear viewer. I trust you're well. Today is another day. We're grateful for the opportunity to discuss children matters. So, welcome to the channel and to today's discussion. If you've not subscribed, please click that subscribe button. And I am grateful for you who have subscribed, who've been sharing. Thank you so much. So, welcome and make sure you tag along somebody that we can learn together in this discussion on children matters. And so today we're gonna discuss an interesting topic and something that's really interesting. So make sure you don't miss out. And before we get into today's discussion, of course you can be commenting what you think the topic is gonna be. Before we get into this discussion, allow me to just go back because our focus is a child. So at the center of our discussions, whatever it is, uh, we have a child in mind. So we're saying what we're discussing, okay, how is it relating to a child and how is it affecting this child? Because that is our main center of focus. So last time we looked briefly at the, the critical nature of childhood as a phase of life. And allow me to just add today because it's that critical and very essential that we really can't ignore anything and everything to do with it. And I wanted to take an example of a building, any building that you have an idea maybe, even where the house you live in is a building, and you just see buildings on the way, just in our environment, buildings are all over. But it's something that we do not see in the building. We see the buildings, they are very good, some of them are very tall, others are very strong and very beautiful. There's one thing that it's not very clear. We don't see the foundation. So we only try to imagine how the foundation could be uh, as we look at the building, how it is, how strong it has stood, and how tall it is. So we try to relate, the foundation may be strong or something like that. The same to childhood is a phase. So I want you to take it as a foundation. It's a foundation for the other phases of life. So how strong or how tall a building can be is dependent on the foundation that has been laid on it. And sometimes we may not tell how the foundation is, whether it is a faulty one, the strong one, but sometimes later we can really tell, oh, the foundation was faulty. Like there have been cases here in Kenya of houses just falling. And so this tells us the biggest problem is the foundation on which this house was laid on. And so what I'm saying is child is the face, yes, and it's a foundation upon which the other phases of life are so much dependent on holding other factors constant. So that sometimes when you see a person, sometimes you see a person, but you don't see the foundation on which that person is has been brought up in, has been laid in, because the child experiences sometimes we don't see them, but they in a way influence the person even when the person is grown up. So what am I saying? Sometimes we don't see the faultiness of a foundation. It only manifests sometimes later, even maybe when the building is complete and seems it's so beautiful and attractive. So what am I saying? Childhood, so have in mind that childhood is like, it's just have take it like that, it's a foundation. So if it's a foundation, so I think all of us, you want to have a strong foundation, because no one really puts up your building looking forward to having it uh, fall in the next 2 3 years or so. Everyone had in mind, I want this building to serve the longest time possible, to stand, to stand for the longest time possible and serve as many generations as possible. That is what we have in mind. And so when it comes to childhood, can we have the same mindset that we're laying a foundation because we want this person to be the best person, to be able to stand strong, to be able to stand, to stand out in as many generations as possible, to be able to influence in a very positive way, in a great way, as many generations as possible. So when we have that in mind, my goodness, how strong then is this foundation that upon which all the phases of life are gonna be dependent on. So that was by the way, but I felt it's important to emphasize. And so we're getting into today's discussion. So please don't get bored. That is why we're here because our concern is the child. Is this foundational phase of a person's life we're so much concerned with. And so today we're going to discuss something, and I want to pose a question into our discussion today. And my question is because we're discussing about words, and I'm asking every one of us who is viewing us, uh, do you make a life or do you kill through your words? Do you build up or do you destroy through the words that you speak? So that is what we're gonna focus on today. Words, words. As far as I'm concerned, I think the most weapon, let me call it a weapon, that's widely used to slay so many people, then it's obvious. Words. There's so many people who have been killed. I'm doing in quotes because sometimes they don't seem as safe. They kill through words than through any other thing, through accent, through manslaughter or the other things. I think these are the most people that have been used to kill so many destinies, so many visions, so many dreams, so many self-esteem, so many confidence, so many things about a person. But today, that is why we're here so that we be intentional and we know that our words, the moment we speak, we don't just speak, they have an impact to the people we speak to or we speak about. And so when we get that and we're like, oh God, then we have to be deliberate, we have to be intentionally careful of the words that we speak. And as I say, and I'll keep repeating, at the center of our discussion is a child. So, how does the words you speak, do they really affect a child? And at what age do the words you speak start affecting our children? In the book of Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 22, I'm just paraphrasing, but you can read it for yourself. The Bible says that the power to life and death is in the tongue. It is in the tongue. The power to life and death, the tongue. That's why I've posed the question: are you making a life or are you killing? Because as you've been taught by that verse, the power to make a life or to kill, it is in the tongue. So the moment you just release a word, it should hit you. You're either killing somebody or you're making them live. You're either destroying something or somebody or you're building up. That is, it is either one way or the other. And so, sometimes we do not think that the word we speak to children, all about children, they really affect them. Maybe sometimes we think the children are too young, they don't connect, they don't hear, they don't understand what you're speaking, and block a break. That is why sometimes we recognize in what we're saying to children and even about children. Maybe you're not talking it to with other people or to other people. But I want to bring to our attention, and I am requesting and I'm making an appeal to us. Can we be very sincere with ourselves, even as we grown up who are really following and who are viewing? Can we be sincere with ourselves? Even if you're having a discussion, uh, on a discussion on yourself alone, but can you be sincere when we're discussing these things? can you see yourself and say, my goodness, be open and be sincere? Because maybe there's some things that were spoken to you while you were a child, and they have really eaten you up. They have affected you to a greater extent. They have really contributed to the person you are today. So it's either positive or negative, but they have really contributed to the person you are today, so that you can, my goodness, these things are true because you have also been through the same, and you've experienced the impact of the word that was spoken to you, probably by a parent, by a teacher, by a relative, or by somebody you trusted, by a house manager or somebody you really trusted, but they spoke something that have affected you even today, now that you are a grown up. So my question is, so at what point are we supposed to be careful with the word you speak, especially to children, or about them? At what age do you think now you should start getting careful, because this child can hear, this child can connect, this child can want to? At what point do you think children start hearing? Mm-hmm. I wish I could hear you people answering, telling me what you think and at what point you think children start hearing. And so we begin to be careful at that very age we think they start hearing. But allow me to bring to your attention that right from the time a child is in the womb, in the 18th week of pregnancy, the child can hear. So by the time they are 27 to 30th week in the womb, they can actually hear. Not only hear, they can respond to the sounds, the external sounds. They hear the sounds, but they can respond when they are in the womb. So they can turn something as a result of the sound in response to the sound that they have heard. So what does this tell you? This should tell you that your child doesn't start hearing the moment he or she utters the very first word in their life. Because if they started hearing when they were in the womb, that's why you can read for them, you can sing for them, because they can hear. So children don't start hearing when they start talking. They don't start hearing when they go to school or get to certain grade. They have the hearing capability even when they are in the womb. They were still hearing. It's only that their milestones of growth, the development, their domains of growth, their language, and all that. That's why those things that sometimes they don't really happen, pop, because there's a way, is the way nature has wired the growth and development to happen. So I want you to understand that the child doesn't hear. The very first word is spoke, not because at ndo wamesikia ukisema. That is not the case. They hear. They do hear from the time they're in the womb. So and also if they hear when they're womb. So do you think that they stop hearing once they're born? No, that is not the case. They do hear. So being that they don't utter back or respond back, maybe verbally, doesn't mean that they don't hear. It doesn't mean that the word you speak to them doesn't have an impact. That is not what it means. So I want you to be very careful. So anytime you're speaking to a child, maybe you're addressing them directly, or you're talking about them in their hearing, then please, you have to be very careful because they do hear. So some words are spoken na unasema the child cannot hear because they are too young. But they go into the parent might call the subconscious. So at some point in life, you're growing up, these things come back. It's like the way that the cow rejected, sorry for that. Sometimes they're coming back to the conscious mind and it's playing, my goodness. So you call a child, you good for nothing. Whatever reason that has caused you to say that. Another day, child does something, you still repeat, you good for nothing. Another day, you keep repeating, you are fool or something like that. And you think and you think the child, it can't have an impact because the child in here. I'm telling you that is not true. Imagine that child, my goodness, so they're growing up. So what is playing in their mind? A good for nothing, a good for nothing, a good for nothing. And so you see, you don't expect a good for nothing person that you created through your words to really bring anything good out in life, whether it is in the school, whether it's in the other area, whether it is in whether. So what do you expect? You create something, but you want a different result. So what do you expect, and how do you really expect that to be? Because every word that you release, nature takes it, and it has a way of bringing back to us whatever we create, and because we create through words, as we've seen in the book of Proverbs, is power to life and death. So we speak, we create whatever we create, but the fact is, we create through the words we are speaking. So, what am I saying? I asked the question whether are you creating, are you making a life? Of course, you're creating. Are you making a life? Are you killing? Are you beating up? Are you destroying? Are you bringing down through your words? So, there's so many people whose dreams were killed through words. There are even children right now, maybe their dreams have been killed through the word we spoken to them. There are some people's confidence was literally killed. They don't have confidence in themselves or anything or anybody because of a word that was spoken to them all about them when they were young. It's the same that is can happen even to the children you're bringing up, you're raising, and them that are in our environment. So maybe they even children who right now they really don't like themselves, not because they're not pretty or something, but because somebody said a word, and it is having to really killing them. You know, some people's dreams were shattered, were killed through words that was spoken by somebody. And I say that we be true to ourselves. And so maybe sometimes you remember some things and you remember them with a lot of bitterness because somebody said that, and those words have been eating you up and have affected your life, maybe in the negative today, and you feel really a lot of bitterness in that regard. So if that is the case, then please let's avoid to really replicate the same to our children or to children in our environment because we have the capability. I want to remind us that children they just take things as they are. So the way you say, the way they take them. You as a grown up right now, maybe you are able to save. So even if I come and tell you what to threaten, you can be able to save. That is not who I am, and maybe you can even reverse. But for children, imagine we create, we create for them through the word you speak to them, and they believe that's how they take it. You tell them you cannot be able to do something, you keep repeating it, reinforcing it, so that's how they live it. They cannot be, and that's how self-esteem of somebody is killed. You tell them maybe because of our weakness they have, and as a matter of fact, all of us have weaknesses. But when you focus so much on it, and try to kill someone else, they seem as if there's nothing good and there's no strength in them, of which is not true. So what am I saying? What am I saying in short? Let's choose to be deliberate and very careful through the words that we speak to our children, especially because I say it's a foundational stage. So the word you speak will go a long way to affecting them, even in the other stages of life. So can we choose to be deliberate because we can be able to be? I'm not saying that we speak positive and good things to our children because they are good, because they are obedient all the time. No, 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 no. But we don't have a ground of really creating negative things that really will cause our children to have regrets in life, and yet you could have avoided. It doesn't pay. What will that help you? When you call yourself a child good for nothing, so when the result come back, what will the good for nothing bring to you? How will you benefit from a good for nothing? It will not benefit you either. And because you're able to avoid it, can we be intentional? Can we be deliberate on the words we are talking? And I'm saying, even if it's not a child, but as long as a child is in an environment, please be careful. Be careful. Measure your words. Choose what you're gonna say to them or about them when you're discussing whatever thing with other people. But as long as a child is present in your environment, then please be very careful because you don't want to continue being killers. I don't know what when the judgment day come and we appear and you're like, you how many people you kill, They're like, God, no, 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 no. I never took a knife. I never, I never took a gun and called it like, do you know how many dreams you killed? Do you know how many visions you killed? Do you know how many people you slain to your words? I don't know what you're going to tell him and how you're going to respond anyway that time. But because we are capable, we can be able to choose our words, we can be able to be deliberate. And I'm not saying because our children will always be good, even when we're angry, they will make us angry. They'll do things that really, you know, little do us. They'll do things that you're not happy about, but you don't have a ground of creating and killing their lives just because we're angry. And I told you that nature is a monkey, you didn't mean it, whether you mean it or not. The fact is, you've created your life and it will come back. So please, whether you don't say hata ukisema sikuwa namaanisha, nilikuwa nimekasirika still. I know so many people who are right now crying because especially parents say things, they spoke things that are really eating them up. And maybe parents were like, they didn't mean it's only because you were angry. So whether you're angry or not, you have to know that every word you're releasing, you're creating, and the result will come back. Maybe not now, but in future. So what do you want to come back? Being the person who created. So let us be very careful. Let us be deliberate. Let us choose our words wisely. And even when we're talking, not only to children and about them, even about your other people, please, 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 what you don't be created for you because it's not good. Why should you create it for somebody else? Speak nicely. I understand sometimes it's not our fault. It's the society in which we've grown up. We've been kind of negative oriented. So maybe the society have really trained us to be more negative, to look at the negative things, and so it even maybe our internal is negative oriented. So there's so much negative than the positive from the inside, but we can be able to reprogram, which is not a one day thing you wake up and but you can be able to reprogram and to train ourselves. We can learn and unlearn, and the way we learn to be negative, we can still learn to be positive and learn the negativity and learn the positive because that will be most helpful to us and even to the children who are in our environment. So that is it for today. Let us just choose. Let us just agree that we're gonna be deliberate from today henceforth. Just choose. I'm not going to kill a dream. I'm not going to kill a vision. I'm not going to kill self-confidence. I'm not going to kill self-esteem. I'm not going to be the person who is really killing somebody, a child, for one reason, but I'm going to be them who is complimenting, congratulating them, and helping them to become better and better and better in one way or the other. So I hope that you make a you make a resolution from today's video that now I am going to be very careful with the words that I speak. So thank you so much. Remember to subscribe if not yet, and remember to share. Remember to give your comments and bring in any contribution in any way possible to the things, the topics that you feel, oh my goodness, let's discuss about them. You're very much welcome. Thank you so much. I love you. Goodbye.